as I mentioned earlier, I'm a faculty fellow in the Center for Faculty Development, but I teach in CAM with a few folks here, and I teach music business. And I don't know where along the lines, probably during the time where I was on the tenure track and trying to juggle a lot of stuff, it became sort of a pet project of mine to figure out how to save time in what I was doing. And so I come to you today as a failure in time management. That's a good way to introduce yourself, right, to a group. But I will say I've learned a lot over the few years, and I'd like to think that I'm a lot more versed. And the secret to my conquering of time management, I believe, has been the use of technology. And so that's hence the name of this session today. So what I'm going to walk through are some tools. The first thing I'm going to start with is Adobe Connect. And I am sort of old school, relatively speaking, but has anyone used Adobe Connect in here? Well, what Adobe Connect does is, and going back to your comment earlier, it is a virtual room. In fact, I use it. I actually teach 2 classrooms. Whenever I teach, I have remote attendance as an option for my students. So you will see me when I first come to class going into Adobe Connect, where I've created a virtual classroom, and I've got students who, if they are ill, oh, I can't make it to class today. I'm feeling, oh, well, fine. Here's the link to the remote classroom. So I webcast all my classes. So that, to you, might not be an advantage in Maymester. So I'm really going to focus on the uses that will save you some time. The aforementioned, flexibility that a student might need might be accomplished by using Adobe Connect, where they can log in. By virtue of teaching here at UCD, we have a site license for Adobe Connect. So you already have access to it. You can see you online for or setting up an account and getting a password for it. But you've got it. It's used. You can use it anywhere you go. I have taught classes from South by Southwest. I would assume you can use it internationally. But anyway, I'm going to talk about how it saves you time, though. First of all, how many students are going to come to you in that short amount of time and say, hey, can I meet with you in your office? No need. With Adobe Connect, I always just tell students, hey, look, why don't we just meet, at this time? And I don't have to come to campus to meet with them. I don't have to figure out when. I can sort of make it work online. You'll find that you'll make your meetings a lot more efficient when you're just meeting with them virtually. There's also Skype for that type of thing too. But Adobe Connect has a few other advantages to it. One, you can record while you're meeting or holding a session, and I'll show you a screen here in a minute. I also use Adobe Connect because I can record, sounds crazy, I can record myself. When you've got students who turn in projects and you want to get feedback to them pretty quickly, it's one thing to sit down with their paper and write notes, right? And again, this might be the case when you're teaching Maymester. I simply go to Adobe Connect and record a short synopsis of my feedback. I should have pulled up some examples. So for instance, I had 35 papers last semester in my music marketing class. So I had 5 students. They worked on it as a group. Now, to record the feedback on paper and then make 5 copies and get it distributed to the right people would have been a real challenge and a lot of time spent, right? I just recorded the content on Adobe Connect and sent those 5 students the link, so they all heard the same thing, right? So again, I'll show you in a second. So that is really where it becomes a time management tool. So Adobe Connect is one tool, and again, see me or see you online, folks, and you can learn more about that. Another tool, the word came up earlier, forms, when talking about some things that can be time suckers, so to speak, when you're teaching. And how many of you have used Google Forms? Cool. I like Google Forms because it can gather information for you very quickly, and perhaps the best beauty of it is that it puts it all in one place. Donna, I did a survey recently, and I just used Google Forms, a survey for a program we had, and it's so handy. I teach the internships, and I ask for these short answers to some questions, and sometimes I'll just ask for them to go to this Google Form link and give me their answers, and it's all there, so I can check off that they all did it very easily. Yeah. So, Dropbox. Dropbox changed my life. How many of you use Dropbox? Okay, good. Well, then I'm preaching to the choir here, so I don't have to spend too much time on it. Dropbox. And yes, it is, password secured. And when you set up a Dropbox account, it's pretty secure. I wouldn't say, it's Fort Knox in those terms, but it's just handy to have the files all in one place and virtual. So when your laptop battery runs out or whatever. Now I'm going to, it would far be it from me to do a presentation on new technology for productivity and not refer to the four-letter word, apps. Yeah, 4 letters. One of them that I use that I used actually before this semester, is the Attendance app. The Attendance app is available on Android and iPhone, but it doesn't mean I don't believe it anymore, but I used to take attendance from my phone. And the Attendance app, one of the things I like about it is it's actually written and created and developed by an academic, someone in your shoes. But the Attendance app allows you to take attendance very quickly. You can take your class file and put it on your phone in the app, and you can even add a picture of the student. And you can even, if they didn't provide a picture, you can take a picture of them and put it on there. So it helped me learn names more than anything. And I always say, don't use attendance, though, if you have more than 30 students. But when I had less than 30 students, it was very handy because it gives you a list of all your students, and you just check off which ones aren't there. Or you can do it the opposite way, too. But the beauty of attendance is it keeps all the counts. You can download it at any time. You can export the file. You can also, if you've added their email addresses, you can send an email from your phone. Gonna be late for class, and just send it from your phone to reach them. But there are a number of cool things that it keeps a grade book, but I don't recommend that at all. I would caution against that. But at least for that, the app runs. It was $1.99, I think, but I think the price has gone up. But it's a handy tool there, so you can take attendance very quickly and easily. Okay, the next one is kind of fun. Okay, you old school folks, the cassette player, remember it?
Yeah.
I love this app. It's called TinyVox. And I use it, and it's iPhone and Android too. But I use TinyVox. It is a little cassette recorder, and it literally, if I were to put it on camera for you, it rolls around like an old cassette player when you get it. It's even got the old play buttons. But how would this save you time? Well, first of all, from a personal standpoint, have you ever had something you need to remember? And there are lots of apps that can do this, but you can just record you saying, hey, I got to remember to show up for the session on Friday. So there are a lot of voice dictations. In fact, iPhones come with the automatic app. But what I like about this is I see a little share button here. I can even type a comment, but I can email what I just said to anybody. It'll be an MP3 file and go to them. I can post what I just said to anywhere. I can post it on Facebook or Twitter. That's one thing. But I could also, it creates a link where I can put it anywhere too. I can email it and create that link. TinyVox, it is not free. It's like, again, it was a $2.99 maybe when I bought it a few years ago. I don't know that this saves you a lot of time, but I should mention that there are lots of apps. How many of you have, Judy said this the other, how many of you have apps that you use to scan documents? You do? Well, I use Tiny Scan. And particularly if you're a tablet user, it's basically, it will take a picture of the document and create it like a PDF of it for you right there. And it is a free app. You can get Tiny Scan Pro, which gives you a lot more capability. But I would definitely have a scanning app on your phone if for any reason you have an emergency where you have to get something back to a student very quickly. It's helpful. And Tiny Scan, just the basic version, is free. But again, there's Cam Scan is another one for the phone. There's so many out there, you could find them. Dragon dictation, very much like the aforementioned Tiny Box, but you speak into, does anybody, Dragon dictation? Anyone use that app? And you've been happy with it?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. So Dragon dictation, you just pull up the app on your phone, and the benefit of that is you have it in writing. So I can say something to my Dragon dictation app, and it will take what I said and put it into words. So I have recorded, I've spoken something, and it's written it out, and you can send that as an email or a text message. And then finally, have any of you all used Trello? Trello is something I actually learned about from a student, and this is, I don't know that, in Maymester you're going to use this a lot, but Trello could be used more for your students to save time, therefore saving you time, especially if you're going to have a group project or a collaborative thing. But Trello is a tool that lets you plan projects. You might find this useful, in your everyday work, but it's a free platform, but you list out everything you've got to do for a project. So when you've done something, you drag it over to doing, and then hopefully you get it done. But it's my to-do list, and I can just move things over. But one of the beauties of it is it's always there. I can go back and use the same Trello and copy it and create a new one. So for this class, I know all these things I've got to do. But then next semester, I can just copy that and start again. So the list of things I need to do are right there. Now, the other thing you can do is share that. So if you are assigning a project, right, you can put the little boxes in there for all the things a student would have to do. Share this Trello with them and say, here's all the steps you're going to need to take. You see, that's another application of it. Again, I told you I learned this actually from a student. It was there's a popular band called My Body Sings Electric here in town. And the lead singer actually showed me that this is how they keep their band organized. If you've ever, during your Maymester, if you ever need to schedule time, with a group of people or whatever, send out a doodle and you identify when you're available, and they basically take a survey. And Doodle will tell you what the most common available time is. I don't have one active right now, or I'd show you. It basically surveys them very quickly on their availability and yours and matches it up like that.